Wes again, this is Hannah from
Hello.
Bristol. What's your role at Bristol?
So my role is Sustainability and Engaged Learning Coordinator.
Cool. I've just been in a session with Hannah and we learned about embedding sustainability into the curriculum, and you said you put on a project and you hired a load of students and they helped you review stuff. I was wondering if you could tell us about it again.
Yeah, so when we started out on the project, I actually started out as a student intern.
Oh, right.
And the university hired two of us to job share to basically support academics in helping them to change their curriculum.
So the university started it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't get
Yeah.
that. Right, cool.
Yeah. So it started off at the university when we were based out of Estates, and we went through and did a curriculum audit to establish a baseline to know where we were at and to show change if we created change.
When you say curriculum audit, how much detail did you go into the curriculum? Did you go
So we used the unit and programme catalogue, which is only like 140 words long for each unit.
Oh, okay. So it's like
or
a
module.
module descriptor.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
Cool.
And so we spent quite a long time reading the whole catalogue, and we used the UNESCO definition of sustainability.
What's the UNESCO?
So it talks about kind of that sustainability isn't just environmental, there's economic and social, political, cool. Human rights kind of stuff. So we had that definition in mind as we read through, because other places, and there's no right or wrong way, there's just different ways of doing it and different benefits and drawbacks to each. We didn't want to use a keyword search because we found from research with Kingston that it was pulling up like gynecology because it had ecology in it. So, and also like just because a word is in the description doesn't mean it means something. So we tried to do a bit of context, but it's such a limited amount of data. So that's where we've tried to kind of move on from that and trying to get academics to do their own curriculum review, which we've managed with some schools. But it's quite a time-intensive process, and academics are already like over kind of worked.
So have you done it as an extra to their normal quality assurance procedures? Or
we've done a mixture of things because it's been a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down, although that's starting to shift a little bit. We were trying to get the schools to do it themselves using a tool, but they just wouldn't do it. So we thought, well, we might as well go and do it because we're not getting anywhere. But we also put in a question in that annual programme review. So each year, every course has to prove that they're, prove that they're up to standard and up to scratch. So kind of like a curriculum review, but not as big and in depth. So we put a question in there, as one of the boxes had a couple, and included like, do you cover ESD?
And the lecturer fills that in at the end of
the So each school has to report that, and that worked reasonably well with mixed results. Sometimes they just didn't answer because it's not compulsory. Sometimes they just tell you about how they didn't print resources.
Nice.
Classic. So we try and use existing systems and processes rather than creating add-ons, because you can't embed something if you're kind of pulling it in from elsewhere.
You started to say you said anything about 2 student interns. Is that you when you were in the States, or has there now been a new level of student engagement according to this?
So the funding for the student interns went on for about 2 years, and then Student Green Fund came along, and so we applied for funding from that, and my role moved into the student union. So that's where the kind of focus on student engagement and empowering students to create their own curriculum change, which should be happening, what unions should be doing anyway, but that's why at Bristol the focus shifted over to the union, and why I'm still in the union now.
Interesting. What's going to happen with it next?
So we've had funding for another year. So the kind of plan is, I mentioned Bristol Futures at the end there, so it's this whole curriculum change project where there'll be 3 strands, so sustainable futures, innovation and enterprise, and global citizenship. You can argue they're all kind of interlinked anyway, but this is kind of senior management coming, and there's that difficult shift now where it's been grassroots and you've got bottom up and you've established something, but now senior management are coming and go, what are you doing? We've been under the radar a little bit for a while. But the idea is that in the first year of that, which will launch in 2017, there'll be a SPOC, so a small MOOC
Oh,
I
okay.
can't remember the name, the acronym, what it stands for. But an online course, a small online open course, or it might not be open, it's all up in the air.
Yeah.
And then in the second year they'll have a suite of open units that cover all these issues that any student can take as part of the course.
So students go and they do their degree and they get the option to do an additional...
Well, in the first year it will be an additional, not credit bearing, nothing to do with the course. I don't know how they're going to convince students to do even more stuff. We'll see how that goes. And I'm much more interested in the longer term.
Are students going to be involved in designing that programme?
Yeah, cool. So one of the caveats of the process has been teams have been putting in applications to be the lead teams,
nice.
And students have to be shown to be really involved in that process.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the first step, and then the second step is this open units, and that will be part of the course, the credit bearing, part of the course, and then embedded so that in the third year that all relevant units and all modules have kind of something relevant.